We've made it to the season finale for your Dallas Mavericks. They visit the Memphis Grizzlies this afternoon. We'll get you ready for today's game coming up on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on our pregame show as the Mavericks engage in their season finale this afternoon as they take on the Memphis Grizzlies in game number 82 of the season. We'll get you ready for this afternoon's game over the course of the next half hour. We'll let you know who's in, who's out, and also focus in on our Mavericks player spotlight a little bit later on in our show, gentlemen, on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon in the final day of the NBA's regular season. How are we feeling this afternoon, gentlemen?
Man, end of the year, end of the season. This was, I think, a top 10 Dallas Mavericks season of the past decade. You definitely in there somewhere. And 82. There's at least one more to go. It is kind of surreal here. It's been a lot.
It has been it's been a long year. I told Tanner earlier today that it feels like finals are starting next week, and it's kind of that dead period in between like the tax test and your final exam where your teachers just show you movies, like turn the lights off and just say, just don't use your phones today. Otherwise you're good. Summer vacation is almost here. Of course, the Mavs could be playing for another 2 months. I don't think many of us expect them to, but they're staring down playing in the 9-10 game as the 10 seed. It's going to be a very, very tough road to the playoffs, but it seems like they just want to make it to that game healthy and minimize the risk along the way.
Today's a good day either way for me because it's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. I'll be hanging out with her after we get done with today's festivities, so I wanted to make sure I missed my mom. Happy birthday. Today she's here to see her grandchild.
Dinner plans?
Yeah, dinner plans later on this evening.
Nice.
So got a nice little birthday cake for her, and she's just hanging out with her grandchild.
Nice.
Her lovely, lovely grandchild. So happy birthday, Mom. Today, of course, game number 82 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off at 2:30 p.m. If you're going to be watching the game, you can do so on Mavs TV or on KFAA Channel 29 today. As the Mavericks take on the Memphis Grizzlies, the Mavericks score 39-42 on the season, 17-24 away from the American Airlines Center. Meanwhile, Memphis 47-34 on the year, 25-15 so far this year at home. Mavericks a 1.5 favorite today with the over-under at 228.5. Of course, the Mavericks 10th in the Western Conference. It is very simple today for the Mavericks. A win today coupled with a Sacramento Kings loss would put them in the 9th spot, and they would host the play-in game on Wednesday. If both teams lose today's game, that means the Sacramento Kings will host the play-in game on Wednesday, or if the Kings win, they will still host the game anyway. They hold the tiebreaker over the Dallas Mavericks as far as winning the season series 3-0. So very simple. Mavericks win, Kings lose. They will host a 9-10 game on Wednesday evening. Meanwhile, for the Memphis Grizzlies, some things for them to play for today. They can finish either 7th or 8th, depending on what happens with Minnesota and a couple of other teams as we get started at 2:30. All the Eastern Conference teams playing their games at 12 o'clock. The Western Conference group playing all of their games at 2:30 today as well. So the Memphis Grizzlies will be doing some scoreboard watching while they are playing today's game as well. They can finish either 7th or 8th in the West. They sit a game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are currently 7th right now. Interestingly enough, for Minnesota, they can finish as high as 4th or as low as 8th by the time we get to the end of today's game. So still a lot of things to be played for as far as the games are concerned. Either way, the Memphis Grizzlies will be playing in that 7-8 game. Depending on what happens, they will either host it or be on the road, gentlemen, which gets us to our lead story going into today's game. And it focuses in on the Dallas Mavericks, of course, in what has been a tumultuous season for them. But they'll be doing some scoreboard watching as well to figure out what happens as the Sacramento Kings host the Phoenix Suns at tip-off at 2:30 p.m. today. Mavericks win, and the Kings lose, they will be here in Dallas. But the guys in Dallas are going to be sitting their main gentlemen as far as today's game is concerned. Here's what Jason Kidd had to say as far as the decision to sit most of their guys today as they take on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think just understanding the minutes that those guys played the other night against Toronto, and then understanding there is a slim chance that we're going to try to win this game and compete with the guys that are in uniform. Just understanding that we've been through a lot of injuries, so we want to come out of this healthy for the best chance to have, if it's at home or in Sacramento, to have an opportunity to win.
So, gentlemen, the Mavericks prioritizing health over potentially getting home court advantage in the 9-10 game, which seems, Tim, like the prudent thing to do given the injuries that this team has suffered all year, that health will be of the number one concern in the season finale today.
I mean, I think the prudent thing here is that, they don't expect Sacramento to lose. I think that's the prudent thing. I think if there were real stakes to this game, go play the guys, go try to get the win. But it's Sacramento facing a the only team more disappointing than Dallas. I don't know even know that's true, but with Sacramento likely to get the win, what's the point? Like rest does matter. It's important. It's this game is an afternoon game, so it's not quite a full 48 hours from when they last tipped. They're going to have a little bit of a break going into Wednesday's game, but given the circumstances, the ledger is just so clearly on the side of it's probably not going to matter. So that incremental amount more rest that you can have for the players, make sure nobody gets injured, probably makes more sense than the odds that Dallas would move up and host on Wednesday.
The last time they had a really long break between games was between that whatever the play-in game was and then the game at Golden State that was played at like turbo warp speed. That game was awesome. Since then, it's just been a lot of back-to-backs, a lot of games every other day. So I'm cool with sitting guys. Again, Sacramento is almost certainly going to win. And honestly, like, if I'm the Mavs, you have to operate under the belief that if you have a healthy AD, that he can be the best player on the court, which gives you a chance to win no matter where the game is played. And then likewise, Memphis is doing the same thing. Memphis can move up to 7th, but Minnesota is playing Utah. So Memphis is playing the odds just the way the Mavs are. Like, sure, we could play everybody and try and guarantee a win, but that's way more risky than probably the payoff is worth. Especially the Mavs this season. I mean, they've won about half of their home games and they've won about half their road games. It's not like the AAC has been a fortress for them by any means. And then, for Memphis, it's the same thing. And then also, if you're Memphis, it doesn't really matter if you're 7th or 8th, because if you lose the 7-8 game, you're 10 games better than the 9 and the 10 seed. So you have to believe that you can beat one of those guys, whether it's the Mavs or the Kings, on your home floor. So, like, if the Mavs really want to be like psychoanalytical and they're looking for something to cling to, say Memphis is disrespecting us by sitting their guys today. They're not afraid of being 8th because they think that whenever we beat the Kings, they can beat us on their home floor. That should offend you. That should upset you. Don't be surprised if that's a rallying cry, guys. I would not be able to buy into that if I was a player, because all those kind of pseudo-motivational stuff doesn't work on my overly analytical brain. But that is some sort of rallying cry that I think we could hear either from the Mavs or the Kings in about a week.
If things do hold that way that they are right now and the Mavericks finish in 10th, that means they would have to win not 1 but 2 games on the road to make the playoffs to face the Oklahoma City Thunder in round 1 of the Western Conference playoffs. That is what is on the line today as far as the Western Conference side of things are concerned for the Dallas Mavericks. Meanwhile, for the Memphis Grizzlies, as Bobby mentioned, some different things to play for, but a lot of it has to depend on what happens in front of them with some of these matchups that are going to be taking place later throughout the course of the afternoon on the Western Conference side of things. Some names you're not going to necessarily recognize today as far as the Memphis Grizzlies are concerned, as they're sitting a majority of their guys as well. But for the Dallas Mavericks, guys like Najee Marshall and also Brandon Williams will be available for the Dallas Mavericks today as they look to get a win in their regular season finale. Unfortunately, either way, the way the season goes or the game goes today, it'll be their second losing season in 4 years under Jason Kidd as far as their head coach is concerned. So just another interesting note when it comes to the Mavericks. Of course, Najee Marshall leading the way for the Mavericks today, playing in 68 games so far this year, averaging over 13 points per game, shooting nearly 51% from the field, and playing nearly 28 minutes per contest. He'll be leading things offensively for the Dallas Mavericks today. Kai Jones, he will be available. He's playing in his final game, which means, Tanner, later on, we will update the final two-way counter for the season with Kai Jones playing his final game today as a Dallas Maverick, with the Mavericks sitting all of their big men save for Daniel Gafford. But Kai Jones will be playing in his final game on his two-way contract. So we thank Kai Jones for the contributions for him as part of this team this year. Grizzlies and Mavericks playing each other for the final time this season. Of course, with the Grizzlies looking to secure the season series over the Dallas Mavericks. These two teams have played 3 times already, with Memphis winning 2 of those first 3, including the last matchup, which took place back on March the 7th, where the Grizzlies got a 122-111 win. Ja Morant had 31 points in the win. Do you know who led the Mavericks that day, gentlemen, in scoring in the losing effort?
What was the date again?
March the 7th.
March the 7th. Was it Brandon Williams?
It was Brandon Williams. Can you tell me how many points Brandon Williams had that day?
56.
Not quite.
23.
A little closer. You got to guess?
Well, you told me the answer, so I'm not going to guess.
Oh, I did tell you earlier, didn't I? Tanner?
You told me the answer, too.
All right, cool, fine. He had 31 points that day as well. Him and Ja Morant each had 31
You got to stop
points.
spoiling your surprises.
Yeah. So I forgot I had told you.
Yeah.
That's my bad. That's on the host's job right there. That's
It was
on
a
me.
great game. I believe we watched the first half of that game at a local watering hole.
We did, actually. We did. We sure did. Because we didn't know what to expect that night. Because that was a few days after. That was a few days after Kyrie Irving had torn his ACL.
We knew what to expect that night.
Well, the game was competitive
It
going
was.
into the fourth quarter.
It
I
was.
mean, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies had a late flurry to be able to put the game away, but for a while there, for a good majority of that game, it was rather competitive before they took care of business. But yeah, that was when the vibes was just not great because, like I said, a few days earlier, we had found out that Kyrie Irving had torn his ACL and was done for the year. And then, of course, Brandon Williams stepping in and playing the way that he did. So that's where we are going in today. Before we get to Bobby's sleeper picks, what's just the general vibe on today as far as the season finale is concerned? We've gotten here at this point. We know what the season has been in a lot of different aspects. What are your guys' just overall feelings going into today, knowing that we've got the regular season finale ahead of us here?
I don't know. Where do you even start? Where do you even start with that? I think that I don't know. You're supposed to feel like it is the last day of school. The summers are supposed to feel exciting, or whatever comes after school is supposed to feel exciting. And instead, it's like,
summer.
For fans, it must feel like instead of like a fun summer before college, their dad's like, you got to work at the factory. You got to work at our factory, son. Y'all all summer. No, we need the help. And we may not be able to afford your school, your college.
It's an Adventureland situation.
next year. So
Damn.
Adventureland. That's, man, I haven't thought about that movie in a long time.
Great movie.
It is a great movie. I've rewatched it a few times. It's a good one. So it's a weird feeling. It's a really, really weird feeling, but I think it's here.
The only thing I'm thinking about is Najee Marshall make it through this game in one piece. And, Brandon Williams and Dinwiddie, they're both playing today, right?
They are.
They're the team's only point guards, so they both have to make it through this game healthy, especially Brandon Williams. Daniel Gafford, make it through healthy. Literally every player on the team, make it through healthy. This team has played enough games this season down to 8-9 guys, and they've lost almost every single one of them. You're going to have to be able to throw waves of dudes in all these games in order for them to have a chance in the play-in and the playoffs, however far this road takes them. And, you exponentially increase your odds of disappointment on Wednesday night for every single player that gets hurt in this game. So just make it through healthy, make it through in one piece, and then let the chips fall where they may.
I think Doug 23 provides a lot of the same sentiment for a lot of Mavericks fans today. This time last year, there was so much hope and optimism. Now I just want it over and done with.
And it sucks. That's just such a sucky feeling to have, man.
Yeah. Well, let's help you feel better by helping you win some money today.
Yes.
When it comes to Sleeper, and our guy Bobby's going to help you out with that today.
You know what solves all your problem in life? Money. And I'm about to win some on Sleeper. So this is going to be a pretty long pick, so I'm just going to narrate the whole thing on top of it. Spencer Dinwiddie, I think he's going to score at least 10 points. G.G. Jackson, that dude is a certified bucket getter. I think he's going to score at least 20 points. The Grizzlies are only playing eight guys today, so I'm sure he's going to get a lot of minutes. And then I'm going to maybe the most important game in the Western Conference today. That is Clips at Warriors. I think Ivica Zubac's going to get a double-double. I think Kawhi is going to score at least 20 points. Steph Curry's pick is on sale, so I think he's going to get more than 21.5 points. And then Norman Powell, I think he's going to make at least 2 threes. I used, as you saw, a little like no-risk pick on Sleeper. So if you lose if you lose the pick, you just get your money back. So like, let's go big or go home. If you win, though, you get to keep that cash. My multiplier in this is times 6.86. So if I win, it'll pay me $34.30 of pure profito. And you know that's going to chips, queso, maybe even some pizza on Wednesday night against the Kings. You want to play along with me? Download Sleeper, use promo code DLLS Mavs. Play $5 to get $55. Again, you get a protected pick today if you play. So there's literally no risk. It is all just rewards, baby.
Let's let you know who's in and who's out today as far as the Mavericks and the Grizzlies are concerned. Let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies. As Bobby mentioned, only a handful of guys playing for them today. Out for them, Santi Aldama, Desmond Bane, Zach Edey, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luke Kennard, John Morant, Scottie Pippen Jr. are all out today for the Memphis Grizzlies. Same pretty much for the Dallas Mavericks today, as they will have Anthony Davis, Dereck Lively II. Caleb Martin, though, is available, but Klay Thompson, right? Klay Thompson, PJ Washington Jr. all out. So again, Davis, Lively, Thompson, and Washington all out today. Caleb Martin is available today for
Dallas. Dallas has 10 players available. The Grizzlies have 8. And the top 9 players for the Grizzlies in terms of minutes played are all going to sit.
Same for the Mavs, basically.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me, gentlemen, today we're going to have a good old-fashioned mid-off in Memphis today is what it sounds
I think
like.
mid is optimistic.
Could be a fun game.
Could be.
It could be a fun game. How about Najee Marshall playing his 69th game of the season today? That's something to watch for.
Nice.
He'll also surpass the 1,900-minute threshold. That's pretty cool.
A lot of minutes.
That's a ton of minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, having played over 2,100 minutes for the Dallas Mavericks. So a couple of guys unexpectedly playing massive amounts of minutes for the Dallas Mavericks this season. Just kind of a microcosm where things are as far as the season is concerned. A guy that's going to be playing today for the Dallas Mavericks who had a really nice game on Friday as the Mavericks broke their 3-game losing streak and beating up on the Toronto Raptors. It was Brandon Williams, who, of course, had his 2-way contract converted to a standard NBA deal. He is going to be in the lineup today for your Dallas Mavericks. Jason Kidd speaking pregame to the impact that Brandon Williams has had on this Mavericks team this season. Here's what he had to say.
B. Will's been great. Being able to convert that 2-way into a NBA contract is big time. And again, we need his speed and his ability to get to the rim and score, and then also being able to shoot the 3 and then play make. Going forward, we just talked about health. We need him to come out of this healthy. So a lot of guys will be on limited minutes, but again, we don't have a lot of bodies to play. So we just got to make sure in that second half that guys get out of this clean.
Brandon Williams, who had 31 points in the March 7th matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies, was really good on Friday, had 17 points, going 7 of 8 from the field in the 22 minutes that he played. Bobby, one of the few bright spots on the season for the Dallas Mavericks, unexpected bright spots, if you will, when it comes to Brandon Williams and his play for the Mavericks this year.
Yeah, it's been really good. He's been really good. Got a contract. I mean, he's been like the one good thing we've had to talk about for the last month. So it's been cool to see.
And his importance, obviously. I mean, everybody knows this, but he's signed to a multi-year deal because Dallas needs a player next season. They need a bench guard. They need, additional, creativity and burst and, excitement. Literally, they need excitement on this roster. And Brandon has shown the ability to do that. He has shown that he is,
Tanner had enough of us.
Yeah, Tanner just walked away. Before the show started, he said he was going to take a nap.
I'm about to say he did say he was going to go take a nap, but it sounded like he was about to look like he was about to make good on it.
Walked away.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I'm enjoying watching Brandon Williams, and this is a guy who is, it's the one unknown. It's the one exciting unknown. There's a lot of unknowns that are somewhat known, and they're not that great for the Dallas future. But having a player like Brandon Williams, who is, has been in and around the NBA, has played some games, has, had a limited role for various teams, played some games for Portland as a rookie, his first year in the NBA, didn't get much of a look last year, and then comes in, was just a two-way guy, wasn't meant to be relied on. Mark Stein couldn't get over for like 4 months that Dallas had 6 guards going into the season. There's so much depth. There's no way to play them all. It's no way, feel bad. It doesn't even make sense to sign Jay-Z and Gortman because, like if Brandon Williams isn't going to even get a sniff, then,
Jay-Z and Gortman.
Jay-Z and Gortman's just hanging around.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Brandon Williams has parlayed the team's injuries and, the midseason roster makeover and just a glaring need for on-ball ability. He's parlayed that all into what is very likely to be a rotation role next season for the Dallas Mavericks. Or certainly at least in a chance to earn a rotation role for the Dallas Mavericks next season. And this is all these games that he has played over the past month and a half. Have been an audition for why he should be a bench guard for the team next season. And given the unlikelihood that Dallas's season advances longer than, what are we thinking? We think they beat Sacramento?
I'm gonna save that for later.
Okay. We'll get to that. But given the likelihood of how the season is going to go, Brandon Williams is still auditioning. This is what he does is it's important for how Dallas goes into next season and builds their roster and the confidence they have in prioritizing a backup guard versus, just being comfortable that Brandon Williams can, be someone who fills in and does enough or they believe can do enough. That's like the stakes here. And what better than, not really tonight, but a play-in game that he's going to have a role in for him to keep proving that, showing that, and making Dallas think that he can be that player next season.
A lot on the line today as far as the Western Conference side of things are concerned in the final day of the NBA's regular season. Obviously, we've laid out the scenarios when it comes to the Kings and the Mavericks. If the Mavericks win and the Kings lose, Dallas will host the play-in game on Wednesday. If things hold true to form so far, we know that Phoenix is sitting a majority of their regular starters, and Sacramento is playing their regular guys today as they host the Suns in their regular season finale. If they win, they will host the 9-10 game on Wednesday. But when you start looking around at the rest of the Western Conference, seeds 4 through 10, I should say 4 through 8, are really up for grabs. Then check this out. So Denver can finish in any spot from 4th through 7th potentially. The Clippers can finish 4th, 5th, or 7th. Golden State can finish 6th or 7th at the end of today. Minnesota has the wildest scenario. They can finish anywhere from 4th to 8th by the time we get to the end of today's games. Memphis can finish 7th or 8th as well, setting up for what is going to be a wild day in the Western Conference side of things. The Eastern Conference side has been set for the last 2 days. We knew some of the matchups in terms of the first round a couple of days ago, with the Knicks and the Pistons going to be facing each other, and the Pacers and the Bucks going to be facing each other in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. As we look and expand our look to the entire Western Conference, Bobby, you mentioned a little bit earlier in terms of the game that you're most interested in terms of the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers. Any other teams or games of intrigue that you'll be looking to see and looking at the scoreboard a little bit outside of what's happening in Dallas and Memphis today?
Mavs and Grizzlies.
That's what I said. Outside of the Mavericks and the Grizzlies.
That's all I'm focused on, man.
Okay.
I'm locked in
All right.
on Vince Williams v. Spencer Dinwiddie, KG.
Bobby has Tankathon open.
All right.
Sorry to
Expose that man.
I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah, he just fully has
I'm
Tankathon
checking
up.
the odds.
Yeah. Tankathon sponsor us. We'll tell your name even more.
Right. Any games for you outside of Memphis and Dallas that's interesting to you?
I mean, the big game is the Clippers Warriors.
Yeah, Clippers Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one that kind of everything else falls into place based off the results of that game because you don't know what to expect from that game. But yeah.
By the way, Anthony Edwards is available to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had his 18th technical foul rescinded going into this afternoon's game, so he will be available to take on the Utah Jazz as far as that game is concerned. There was some question on whether or not he would play. The NBA rescinding that 18 technical foul that he picked up. We have a comment saying that the Knicks and Nets is a mid-off is awesome. Also, we got some intrigue there as far as that game is concerned. Sarah with the comment, the Warriors and Lakers first round would be crazy. Yeah, there is a scenario that plays out that if the Clippers beat the Warriors today, the Minnesota Timberwolves would face the Lakers in the first round. If the Warriors win, they would be the ones facing the Lakers in the first round. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets, they're playing all their regular starters regular minutes today against the Denver Nuggets. So interesting intrigue there because Houston literally has nothing to play for. They are locked in to the number 2 seed. So
we don't know they're playing regular minutes.
No,
yeah.
he may said that they're playing regular minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said they're playing regular minutes today against the Denver Nuggets. So yeah, I was surprised when I saw that
stuff going on there.
That's kind of that does fit their ethos. Like they did sit players on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
They got a full game of rest for all their starters. It does fit their defense first, gritty, try hard demeanor that they'd say, we're not going to play again until it's going to be a week till we play again. We're going for it. Like we're not entering the playoffs. Being a team that it's the final regular season finale, right? It does fit.
Yeah.
And they're a young team too. That's another important part of this. Like they're not the Warriors. They're not a team that is prioritizing rest over everything else.
Yeah, young group that has a chance to make some noise in the postseason. But yeah, they're locked into the 2 seed. That's interesting for Denver because obviously we laid out the scenario where they could finish potentially as far as the West is concerned. So Denver, they're going to have Jamal Murray available today to play for them. Of course, they are dealing with the firing of their head coach in Michael Malone. But yeah, Houston and Denver's going to be an intriguing game because Houston's decided to play the guys today.
I just can't look at any of this stuff and think like the Mavs would so easily be second place this year. They would just so easily be in second place right now. Like this game would mean nothing for the Mavs today. They would have clinched second place like a week and a half ago.
If they just had him in the trade and Luka came back when he came back.
Yeah.
Even with the injuries?
Yes. I mean, they missed a month of AD. Month and a half AD. I mean, if you get a month and a half of Luka, then
I think that's
the
true.
Lakers did, and they're
It's
just like
they sure did.
Come on, dude.
The one
Just
obvious
so bad.
the one
Yeah.
obvious question is the butterfly effect. Does Kyrie get hurt?
Yeah, does Kyrie get hurt?
And under the butterfly effect, you can't assume that he's going to get hurt.
I mean, he probably would have missed some time. Like odds are
Yeah.
guys miss time. He probably wouldn't have missed the last 40 games or whatever, but he probably would have missed some time. But that's the thing.
But butterfly
Mavs won a
effect,
bunch of games without Kyrie last year. They were just fine.
That's right.
Like-
that's right. They sure did.
God, it's just so bad.
butterfly effect. Gafford, you don't even know that Gafford's injury came after Luka would have returned, so everything would have been different as well.
Yeah.
But again, that one
It's just all so
can't
silly.
go too far down that
It's all
road.
so very silly.
I agree. They'd be the second best team in the West.
The most self-inflicted wound ever. This is like Plaxico Burress levels of self
Jeez.
Very, very super quickly,
Jeez.
but it was really funny, and it's not technically true. But Luka was like, "Yeah, this is the first time I'm going to have home court advantage."
He did say that.
Yeah, and he did, but he started that series injured
Right.
against the Utah Jazz a couple years ago. So just all very funny. They absolutely would have had home court.
This is the highest seed ever he has had, though, in his
Now, to get the number
So-
2 seed, only to have to face like the Warriors in the first round. would be pretty tough. It would not be easy, but still, they get to avoid OKC till the conference finals. That'd be pretty nice. That'd be pretty nice.
Well, yeah, I mean that's locked in. Houston's locked in at the 2 seed. The Lakers can't catch them. So yeah, the Lakers.
No, I'm saying if the Mavs were the Mavs.
Oh
in
yeah,
second
the
place.
Mavs. Yeah. That would have been interesting for sure. Appreciate our Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Appreciate you, sir. We will be back here 15 minutes after today's game is over with. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider Mark Stein as well to recap today's game as we look ahead to the Mavericks taking on the Sacramento Kings in the play-in on Wednesday. That's our Mavericks analyst Bobby Curl. That's our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato. I'm your host Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you after this afternoon's game between the Grizzlies and your Dallas Mavericks. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.